So, what does it really take to build $1 million portfolio? Well, you're about to find out. So, I'm going to walk you through 5 things right now that if you integrate into your portfolio and into your life, I would honestly be pretty shocked if you don't have $1 million account at some point in the future. And number one, we're just going to start off with the obvious thing. You have to start right now. There's so many people that say, maybe when I get that pay raise, I'll start. Maybe when I make more money, I'll start. And I'm going to show you right now why that's actually the worst thing that you could possibly ever do. So I'm going to show you 2 examples on a compound interest calculator, just proving how bad it is to wait to really get started investing. So let's just say that right now you have no money saved up and maybe you're going to invest for 30 years once you get going. So no money starting out, 30 years, we're going to assume that you're going to make 10% per year. And then we're going to say that you're going to contribute $500 per month. If we hit calculate, you're going to see that in 30 years, with these assumptions, you're going to have roughly $1 million. But let's say that you're going to wait for a pay raise, you're going to wait till the time feels just right, and maybe you drag this out for 5 years. How do the numbers look if you wait 5 years? So now your investment time horizon is only going to be 25 years. So let me go from 30 to 25. We're going to hit recalculate, and there you go, 590,000. But if you do it for 30 years, you have roughly a million. So that's the big misconception is, oh, well, if I just wait 5 more years, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But it really is a humongous deal because it comes down to compound interest. And let me just show you how this impacts Warren Buffett. So take a look at Warren Buffett, who's one of the most famous investors of all time. This chart is a tiny bit out of date. He's 95 years old right now, not 92. And when he was 92, he had $109 billion, which, he has way more than that right now because, we're compounding on a big number. But let me just make this make sense. Age 14, 5K, 6K, 10K, really not making like an extreme amount of progress up to age 30. But once he starts getting the ball going, it really gets going pretty hard. So you could see that he goes from 1 million to 2.4 to 7 to 10 to 25. I mean, I'm not going to read all these numbers to you. But the key thing that I really want to point out here is the fact that from age 83 to age 92, so it's not even 10 years, he made, we'll just call this $50 billion. He made $50 billion in 9 years. But if you look at how this chart plays out, he didn't even reach $1 billion of net worth until age 53. So from nothing till age 53, he was sub $1 billion. But then in 9 years, he made over $50 billion. And that's just showing that, let's just say Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio compounds at 20% per year. He's making 20% on $100 billion versus 20% on $1 million. 20% of $1 million is $200,000. But 20% of 100 billion is $20 billion. So that's why waiting is costing you so much more money on the tail end because you have to understand how compound interest really works. So the second thing that really matters more than honestly almost everything on this list except for number 5 is going to be that you have to have a system. You have to know what your plan is if the market goes up, what your plan is if the market goes down. Are you going to capitalize? Are you over leverage? Are you under leverage? Are you going to do call options? Are you going to do put options? Are you going to buy options? Are you going to sell options? How do I know if a company is a good deal? How do I know if it's a bad deal? You have to have systems in place to know what to do when a certain thing pops up. Because the thing that I see a lot of people doing is like if we just go on X or YouTube or wherever, everybody just likes to talk about the hot stock and they're simply just riding this wave of momentum. And the problem with that is most of the people that buy into a stock simply because it's going up in share price, when you get a hint of bad news and the stock goes down a little bit, most people are like, screw it, I'm done, I'm out, I hate the stock market, I'm never going to do this again, I lost money, whatever. But the market's volatile, the market bounces around a lot, and you have to understand that that's just a normal part of the game. You're going to see your portfolio swinging up and down quite a bit. Like if I just go to my account right now, let me see what it's doing. I think I'm down down like $9,000 today. Let me look. Let me hit refresh and we will see. Yeah, $10,000. Do I really care if I'm down $10,000 today? No, it's meaningless because I'm making a lot of money in the long term. Like my 2-year return, I'm up $766,000, 177%. Like that's crazy. Most people do not capture returns like that. And I'm not saying it's going to be like this forever, but when you have a system in place, when the market dips, you know how to capitalize when the market dips lower. When the market's a little bit high, you know when to de-risk a little bit so that you could capitalize on the times when the market goes down a little bit. You have to have those systems in place because if you don't, just like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Now, the third thing, which is so critical to understand, and it kind of builds on what I was just talking about with number 2, is you have to know when to capitalize. You don't want to be scared when the market goes down and sell your stocks. You want to be able to capitalize on these dips. So let's just take a look at the NASDAQ over the course of the last 5 years. You could see that the index went up over 105%, so it went more than a double. But there's been a lot of bad things that happened in that time frame. Coming out of COVID, inflation kind of got out of control. The Fed had to raise interest rates, and then the market corrected lower by roughly 34%. So, this was a decent sized dip in the NASDAQ. We also saw the beginning of this year where the NASDAQ went down roughly 25 ish percent. There's a lot of volatility with the market. But the thing that you have to understand is right now, when the market's pretty much going straight up, this is not really a time to go super hard on call options or selling put options or really buying speculative stocks. You have to be careful right now. But in a time like April, when the market dips so quick and so sharp for something that was kind of like man made, manufactured, like the tariff stuff, that's an opportunity to buy some stocks. And again, right here, the market fell roughly 35%. That was a good opportunity to buy. Most people down here were freaking out. Maybe they were buying put options to hedge their portfolio on the downside. Meanwhile, while they're willing to pay more for a put option because they're scared and want to buy more downside protection, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell them the put option and generate that cash flow. So you have to understand that you got to have a plan when the market's going up. You got to have a plan when the market's going down because you have to be able to capitalize. And like Warren Buffett always says, when people are greedy, that's when you want to be fearful. And when people are fearful, that's when you want to be greedy. And opportunities don't come all the time. Like United Health, for example, I made almost 6 figures on United Health profit that I made in the last 2 months, simply because I was being greedy when other people were being fearful. Of course, I analyze the whole company and understand everything that's really going on. And then it just so happens to be that Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, bought a little bit of United Health. And of course, we're catching a little bit of an upswing right now. But again, if you don't have a system, if you don't start, and if you don't know how to capitalize, you're not going to be able to make money like that. So those 3 things that we talked about so far are pretty critical, to be honest with you. But number 4 and number 5, I think they're even going to top it a little bit more. So number 4 is probably what causes most people to lose a lot of money in the stock market. It's not the system, it's not the stock, it's not the I timed the market wrong. It's going to be the emotional aspect of investing. So most people say, oh, when the market dips, I'll just buy more. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, maybe my portfolio will swing a little bit, but it's all good. The market's going to return to all-time highs. That's what people say in times like right now when the market pretty much is at an all-time high. But when the market does dip, like a time like April, dude, there were so many crazy things I was seeing online, how the US economy is never going to come back. The world's going to collapse. The dollar's going to collapse. The US stock market's never even going to open up again. There was crazy stuff going on. And that's because people were simply emotional. Now, if we were to ask those people right now, hey, how do you feel about the stock market? They're going to be emotionally happy because they're like, oh, yeah, I'm making money. The market's going straight up. I love it. America's great. So most people pretty much fall perfectly into this chart right here of the emotional aspect of investing. And again, remember, my account went from a million to 700,000 range during April. There's a lot of volatility, but I wasn't stressing over, oh my God, I'm down $300,000, because as you just saw, now the account's at $1.2 million. So we're going to be okay, and we capitalized on the dip, and now we came out stronger than what we went into it on. But typically, rally will start. People will disbelieve it and say this rally will fail like others. Maybe they'll get a little bit optimistic and say, okay, this rally is real. Then maybe they're going to say, okay, I believe it. Now it's time to get fully invested. And then people are going to say, oh my God, it's such a thrill. I will go buy more margin. I'm going to do a HELOC on my house. I'm going to tell all my friends at work. And then guess what? Everyone's a genius in a bull market. People get euphoric. They're all going to be rich. And then it's like a hint of bad news comes out and people panic and they sell. You sell, I sell, they sell, market orders go in. Everybody ends up selling. Then it's like, okay, the market rallies up a little bit more. We're going to be okay. Maybe we just need to let it cool off for the next rally. And then bam, the market keeps going down. Anxiety, denial, panic, anger, depression. People just cannot handle the emotional aspect of investing. They panic sell, they buy high, and they sell low. But what logic tells us is, if we just look at this little chart, I know it's kind of hard to see, but when the market is at its peak, that is the point of maximum financial risk, which is up here. But when the market's on this dip down here, this is the point of maximum financial opportunity. So you have to understand that your emotions are going to play with you. When the market dips, you're going to get nervous. When the market goes up, you're going to feel excited. You have to look at investing emotionless. You don't want to make any big financial decision with emotion. You don't want to go buy that car with emotion. You don't want to go buy that house with emotion. You need to think with logic in the stock market and understand that the market's volatile. Prices go up, prices go down. And here we are just waiting on the sidelines to capitalize when it makes sense. That's all I have to say about the emotional aspect of investing. Don't mess it up. So, number five is going to be pretty obvious. And I'm going to say this one thing real quick that if you made it this far in a video, pat yourself on the back. I know that my videos are not over the top amazing. My scripting, like, I don't script any of this. I'm just doing all this off the cuff for you guys because there's so many YouTubers that their videos are really fake. It's just a script and they read off a teleprompter. Like, it's just me here. I'm just, talking about how I scaled to a couple $1 million. Other videos I talk about my strategies, other videos I just talk about whatever makes sense in the market to really understand right now. So I'm just here to keep it real with you guys. I'm here to make money. You're here to make money. So we're going to break some stuff down together. And that's what we're going to do here. Now, number five, just never stop learning as an investor. Don't listen to one person. Don't put all your eggs on me and say, Brandon said buy the stock, so I'm going to go buy it. Don't do that. Do your own research, read a couple books, watch a couple different YouTube videos, do a diverse range of education for yourself. Because when you see it 10 different ways, you're going to understand for yourself with confidence, this is probably the right way or this is probably the wrong way. And you're just going to be able to spot things differently than, hey, maybe I just go follow one person on YouTube and say that's what it is. So overall, just start right now, get your systems in place, capitalize when it makes sense, keep your emotions in check, and never stop learning. And maybe if you don't have number two, which is the system, I have it all done for you below. Sign up for my course. It's going to completely change your life. Over 1,000 people just like you have went through it. I've only had like one bad review out of the 1,000 people that went through it, and that person didn't even finish the whole thing. So, the course is pretty good. I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. Click the link below to get in if you want to do it. But if you don't want to do it just yet, watch this video right here. YouTube thinks it's going to help you out a lot. I'll see you there.